right, let's roll right into step three. Step three, exposure. All right, so, gosh, exposure. All right, what do I mean by exposure? I mean getting it on the market and getting eyeballs on it. Okay, like getting it on the market and getting eyeballs on it. I think, I've seen for sale by owners like try to just put like a sign in their yard and try to sell their house. And it's just difficult. Okay, like, who sees that sign? Right? Like, the people that are driving around your neighborhood, of course, are going to see it, but what are the chances that someone from your neighborhood is going to buy your house? Like, I'm trying to think of how often I have had a buyer that lives in a neighborhood and bought a house in the neighborhood that they already lived in. Okay, dude, doesn't happen that much. Like, most of the people coming to Everett are not living here right now. Okay, I would say, I'm trying to think I'm trying to be like super authentic. I think I've had like one buyer that ended up buying a house in the neighborhood that they were already living in, right? So like, maybe your signage in the yard could work for that one person. Okay. But I mean, you gotta keep in mind, there's a shit ton of buyers out there. Okay. There's a lot of buyers out there. So you got to do more than just put a sign in your yard. All right. And I mean, you really have to find some way to get your house out onto as many websites as possible. So I think here's what most people do. Like, I think they try to like get it onto Zillow, which is a very popular website. I mean, millions of people look at Zillow. Okay. But I think you should consider spending the money to get it on the MLS. I do. I think you should consider spending the money to get it on the MLS. What I will do is I will tally below here, like right here, what the total cost is, the bare minimum things, so, I'll list them all out and sort of talk about like what you've spent so far. But I would highly recommend doing that. And there are a couple of, they're called like flat fee agents that can help you get your property listed on the MLS. So basically what that will do is it will get your property in front of agents that have relationships with buyers, and it will also get it in front of buyers, because once it goes onto the MLS, it'll then go into like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com and all of like the major online websites. And you really want that, because here's the deal: when people are like, okay, I mean, this might be like sort of like hard to understand, but when people are relocating, like people move here from like California and like all kinds of places, like they're coming from, they're just not local, like in your 2 or 3 blocks buying a house. Like they're coming from the city of Seattle, like all over the place. So I think you have to do this. I mean, let's say you want to like keep it down to the bare minimum and you want to like not do professional photographs and you want to like skip all these like pieces. Okay. You have to do MLS. Okay, don't even put a sign in your yard. You don't even need to sign like a nice real estate sign. It could like literally be like the sign from Home Depot that says like for sale by owner, call this number. Like you put that sign in your yard, but then you get it on the MLS. Okay, you need it to go on the MLS. Like I just feel so adamant about that. Like there is just not a way to get the exposure you need to sell your house for the most money without doing that. Okay, you're just not going to get the most money for your house. Like, and you're not going to get it as quickly. All right. So it has to. I mean, you could skip all the other steps. Like, let's say you were just like, I don't know what this lady's talking about. I'm not inspecting. I'm not freaking decluttering. I'm not doing any fixes on it. I'm not going to stage it. I'm not going to take professional photos. You must go on MLS. Spend that money on MLS. Okay. So you're going to get it on the MLS. It's going to look awesome. Right. Okay. So get your home onto the MLS so that you can get good exposure. Now, here's where it's kind of like, it depends on how much effort you want to put in. I would in addition to getting on the MLS, I would also post my house on my social media. Okay, let all your friends know that you're selling your house, because they might know someone who's ready to buy it. All right, so I would post on my social media. I would post on Nextdoor, like all the like online memberships you have. Like, I would just tell everybody. I would take my whole email list of friends and family, and I would email everybody and say, hey, we're selling your house. This is how much it is. Here's the information, blah, 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 blah. Send them, you can make them a little flyer, or you could send them a link to like your Zillow or whatever, okay? But do that 100%, all right? And the next piece, I think, it just sort of depends on how long you've been in the neighborhood, all right? And, how established you are. But I would definitely decide whether or not you're going to cooperate with a buyer's agent, okay? Now, again, it just sort of depends. I would say that most buyers are represented. Like, there are not, like in my market at least, there are not many for sale by owners, and there are not many like buyers that are going to buy a house unrepresented. Okay. I mean, I just, maybe it's a personality type thing. Maybe it's just people living up here in the Northwest, but I just don't, I don't buy it. There's not that many of them. I don't think that many people do. So I think you should think about whether or not you're going to cooperate with a buyer's agent. If it does, it means that you're going to be paying some commission to them. And I would definitely list that commission in your MLS listing. And I just think it's going to be helpful. It is negotiable, that commission. But here's the deal. If someone had the option to choose between your house and another house, and the other house was going to pay for their agents to be represented, and like everything's equal, each house is $500,000, and one house is going to pay for their agent and the other one says you have to pay for your own agent. I mean, do the math yourself. I just think it makes your house less competitive, right? Like, it's less of a deal for them. So what would they do? Yeah, that's the question. So I think you should, I would decide. You need to decide if you want to. I think it would be a good idea. In this, like I said, in my market, most people list with a real estate agent. So the people that do a for sale by owner, if they don't cooperate with a buyer's agent, I think it could be one of the reasons that your house doesn't sell as quickly, because people just don't want to negotiate that deal. It's just much easier to buy something else. That's just it. Okay, so that's exposure, right? So you've now incentivized buyers to purchase your property because you're going to cooperate with their agent, and you're going to pay their agent. You're going to, get that property in front of a lot of buyers because you got it on the MLS. And now you're in excellent shape, okay? So, basically right now you're acting like your own listing agent, right? Like, that's the whole deal, right? Like, a for sale by owner, you're acting like your own listing agent. So, basically what you're saving is like, whatever the listing agent profits, right? Because most listing agents, if it's a good agent, all right, like, and not even dissing like, people that take pictures with their, I don't think they're bad people, but I just think that's not really good quality. Like, you're kind of like, netting whatever that profit is that they make, because they do pay for photographs, some pay for staging, all that stuff. It just depends, right? So that's what you'd be saving. So that is exposure for you. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel. I will see you again soon. YouTube.